Welcome to Spotlight on Sports, brought to you by the Chester County Sports Hall of Fame. I'm Michael Peich, president of the Chester County Sports Hall of Fame, and I'll be your host and occasional interviewer for the series. In this series, we will introduce you to members of our Hall of Fame who will share their personal stories about their life in sports. The series will also serve as an informal history of sports in Chester County, and we hope that you enjoy each profile. Please come back often to hear new interviews or to enjoy previous discussions. We encourage you to join the Chester County Sports Hall of Fame and urge you to follow the link displayed at the end of the interview or to go to our website to become a member. If you enjoy what we are doing and would like to support our activities, please consider making a gift in support of the Richard B. Yoder High School Scholar Athlete Award or a gift for one of our general organizational needs. Thank you. Now, sit back, relax, and let's put the spotlight on sports. Today, we are going to interview two of our most esteemed members in the Chester County Sports Hall of Fame, Alvy Kelly and Jerry Schneider, both of whom are lifelong Westchester residents and are highly esteemed by sports enthusiasts throughout not only Westchester, but throughout Chester County as well. Alvy Kelly has been a lifelong supporter of sports in the Westchester area. He and his wife, Addie, founded Kelly Sports, where they serve sporting needs not only for Westchester and Chester County, but throughout all of the Philadelphia area. Alvy founded the Little All-American Football Association in 1956, known as the LAFA, and later he and Addie supported and helped found the Westchester Area Sports Association. They had been active in the Westchester Area Sports Association as well as LAFA. Recently, Alvy gifted the Bayard Rustin High School field lights. Jerry Schneider played football and baseball at Westchester High School and developed a lifelong love of sports. He played in the Westchester Adult Baseball League and coached in Little League, Babe Ruth League, and American Legion Baseball. Jerry, who would probably have loved doing nothing more than following sports, collecting sports cards and memorabilia, and enjoying his family, decided that he needed to have some kind of way to support himself. And he became and continues to be a very talented graphic designer. At one point, he owned his own company, and it was very successful. Jerry was one of the original founders of the Chester County Sports Hall of Fame and served as its capable president for the first 10 years. In addition to collecting sports cards and memorabilia, he is an avid car collector and appraiser. So, fellas, let's begin talking about your involvement with sports in the Chester County, not only in Chester County, but in the Westchester area. And Alvy, since you're the older of the two, let me ask you, what's your earliest memory of playing sports? And did that help inspire you to become involved in sports?
Yeah, well, I played football, semi-pro football down there.
Kennett Crusaders.
Yeah.
Kennett Square.
Yes, that's when I still had my family, and they could come down and watch me play and all that, and then that's when I went down to the Greenfield and started all that action there with the kids. I moved the field down to the railroad tracks, kind of a friend of mine, another Ginsley, batted left-handed and hit home runs every time down into Goose Creek. That's why I told him, I said, I'm moving this and count of you.
Oh, that's good.
Then when I got down there, I got everything going. Buddy Temple helped me set up the backstop down there. He's the one that lived out near the Westchester Airport, and we were real good friends all the way through there, building that stuff up.
Oh, that's terrific, and the wonderful thing is it continues to thrive. because
Yeah.
of your efforts. Jerry, what about you? What about your earliest memory of sports, and what got you involved?
Oh, I'll blame it on the whiz kids and Roger Roberts and Richie Ashburn and those guys. So, I was collecting baseball cards back in 1948, and the Phillies, of course, won the pennant in 1950 with all the whiz kids. So it really drew me in. But sports, I was in high school. We had basketball at the YMCA in Westchester, and we had an afternoon league that a bunch of us participated in, and that was I'd go out for the high school team and get cut every year, but always end up at the Y League, and we had a good time there. In fact, Jerry Bannon coached my team, my senior year. So he was one of my buddies, but he became our coach. He was a few years older than me, so one of my heroes, and he's in our Hall of Fame.
He is indeed. And he had quite a career.
I played the first 3 or 4 years of the Westchester Adult Baseball League. Before they even built Hope's Field. I think that came in about the second year. First year we played down at the college. But I thought I was a good baseball player. I went to the Cardinal tryout down at Wayne Field in Westchester, and there were probably about 60 kids down there trying out. And I was with my buddy Charlie Duncan, who was a catcher, and I was a first baseman. And I had the day of my life. I was so good that day. There was nothing I could do wrong. And two things are going through my mind when I was waiting for those guys to call my name. The $5,000 bonus that was going to buy me a new Mercury convertible. And what's going to happen when they find out I'm not this good? Well, they didn't call my name. And that's when I realized I'm going to have to get a real day job. But so it was a good thing. Charlie Duncan had a bad day that day, and he never gave up trying to get going. But I knew that day if I didn't get done that, I was done. So
Yeah, need that day job. Well, both of you have been involved in community sports. And Alvy, I know you have been very active. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the things that you did in the community to help promote sports, particularly for kids? Because a lot of yours and Addie's activities were targeted toward youth, high school, and of course, at the collegiate level at Westchester University. So what got you involved in establishing the LAFA?
Well, being that I played sports and all young kids were around just throwing balls around and doing this and that, I got them organized there at Green Field and started from there. Then we, when I built the fields over at the government service building, I got them uniforms because there was no sporting goods stores in Westchester at that time. I had to go into Philadelphia a couple of times a week just to get stuff for the kids to wear, helmets and stuff, and that's how it really started.
So that's how
I went up to the Briggs Sporting Goods, asked him to help. He says, I'm closing my store. Do you want it? Give it to me. I said, oh, I don't want your store because I have one, but I'll help your salespeople. And that's how I did that too.
Now, what was the motivation behind building the complex over by the government services?
Well, it was just a place because the field that I had for football was only a 70-yarder, not a 100-yard field. So I don't know. I knew somebody over at government service building. They said, that's a perfect spot. Well, I had to go down and dig out That's where they used to take the Christmas trees and burn them after Christmas down there. And so, yeah, I got that started. I had to dig out all that trash, muddy water and fill it in. And I got all the dirt from the school down on the Westchester Pike and they used to, I had more pickup truck drivers, friends of mine, bringing dirt in every day. And we were level it out. So we have fields in there for the Little League football, the Little League baseball at the top, girls softball, adult baseball, and so forth. And then the big major field down there, everybody uses it. And what I was going to say, Andy Denham come down there and says, "Where's the light poles for the fields?" I said, "Andy, I ran out of money. I don't have a cent to do anything else." So he said, "Oh, okay." So he left. He said, "I'm going over to Harrisburg." He came back the next day and he hit me in the chest with $40,000. He said, "Go get the light poles." And that's
So
how
you did.
that's how the lights. He was the instigator, getting them,
Well, he saw a good thing and
giving me all that money to.
you wanted to support it. Yeah.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
did. He was right there.
Jerry, you've been involved in local sports as well. And I know at one point you had a sports card shop. Can you talk a little about that?
Well, you know, I opened Jerry's Dugout on Church Street. It was, I think, around 10 South Church Street. And it was, the idea was to get people to bring cards in there to sell to me so I could collect them, So I would sell my extras and I was more interested in people coming in and selling me their collection. So, of course, I had my business, my graphic design business, so I could only do it part-time. I think we opened on Wednesday night and Saturday for the first year or so. I only had it for about 4 years. My wife came in, I got her to run the store during the day for me. So, and she was good with kids. So the kids would come in and, they were all looking to buy stuff and they would, and she didn't know anything about baseball, but the kids knew more than she did, but she could get the information from them to know what kids wanted. So we had fun with it for a while. And then it got too competitive. I think 4 or 5 companies came out with baseball cards and I wasn't interested in carrying a lot of inventory. So, and I had gotten a pretty good collection, so I decided to shut it down. But, we had fun with it and it was.
I came in once and I forget what I was looking for, but you were very kind to me. So I appreciate it.
We had fun. It was a hangout for guys. I mean, used to come in and Bill Green, who was a warehouse guy, he would come in and take care of the store if I couldn't make it. But we always had a half a dozen guys in there talking baseball. It was just a hangout for baseball guys.
Well, and we miss that now with the internet. You can have internet forums, but it's not the same thing.
No.
Not the same thing as hanging out and talking baseball. Both of you, I'm certain, both of your involvement in local sports have produced highlights for you, things that really stand out as great achievements or outstanding performances. Alvy, what in particular stands out for you in terms of your involvement in promoting community sports?
Well, just growing up, finding places to play sports and then seeing all these kids running around, kicking things around and all this. So I take them and I organized them to play sports, softball, baseball, and then I started the youth football program, which went over really well. Yeah, I had some even made it out even into the pros, 3 of them. That made me more proud too of starting it and helping them. And it went over well, yeah. So I played football, so I wanted to continue with it with the
Yeah.
kids.
Well, it's like somebody helping develop a baseball player and seeing that player
Yeah,
make it to the major leagues. I mean, that's, you feel a sense of pride and involvement. Jerry, what about you?
Well, I strayed out to Paoli for a few years, and I got involved with the Little League and Babe Ruth League and American Legion in Paoli in the Malvern field. So I coached, I guess I was down there for 7 years coaching those kids, and they would go to Little League, Babe Ruth, and then Legion, and I would follow them along and had some great kids to work with, great parents. And we had my coach, my batting instructor, and in my Babe Ruth League team was Eddie Sawyer, who was the manager of the Whiz Kids. And Eddie Sawyer was a business partner with one of the fathers of the kids on my team. And the same kid, his next door neighbor was Dick Kazmaier. And now both Sawyer and Kazmaier had all daughters. They didn't have any sons. So they used these 2 Rothrock boys to, as their sons. And so Dick Kazmaier was my scorekeeper for every game. He'd come to every game and keep score for me. And I'm a 25-year-old kid, and with these big pros around me. But it was a good time. And so I got to know Kazmaier. And
Tell our audience who Dick Kazmaier was. They may not know.
I know, yeah, he was the Heisman Trophy winner in 1951, football player at Princeton, and he was a backfield. He did everything in the backfield, yeah, Kazmaier was a really neat guy. He invented the AMP's pin spotter bowling. That was one of his, and he worked for that company. And of course, Eddie Sawyer was the manager of the Whiz Kids. So
Yeah,
that was a fun bunch of guys. So
those were 2 pretty impressive assistants. That's for sure. I hope Kazmaier didn't make any mistakes in keeping the stats.
He was a nice guy. He really was. And
yeah, I'm certain he was. Well, let's talk a little bit about the Chester County Sports Hall of Fame. Alvy, you were in the first class in 2008, and that's a very impressive class, yourself included. And Jerry, you were one of the founders of the Chester County Sports Hall of Fame. What exactly was the motivation behind creating a Sports Hall of Fame, particularly when you think that it wasn't created until 2007, which is, only 14 years ago? Why had there not been a Sports Hall of Fame prior to that?
There were a bunch of guys that used to have lunch together, and I think Alvy was part of that group, and Dick Yoder was involved in that. And anyhow, Dick Yoder came in one day at lunchtime and said, "Hey, I just came past the Wyeth Field. That'd be a great place to build a baseball park." And that kind of started it off.
Mhm.
So this bunch of guys decided they were going to build a baseball stadium there. And I said, if we have a stadium, we have to have a Hall of Fame like they have in Wilmington. So it was modeled after the Wilmington the Delaware Sports Hall of Fame in the Wilmington Stadium. And Bill Cachetis was part of that, one of the developers of that thing. The first 4 guys were Dick Yoder and me. Dick said Charlie DeMarco wants to start a Hall of Fame too. So I got a hold of Charlie, and he and Greg Greenday, who was the sports editor at the local, the four of us got together and made it happen. And so we got the thing started, and Charlie DeMarco, he set up the banquet date. You know, we weren't all that organized, but Charlie had the first banquet date set up, so we had to get it done. And you know, it turned out we had a great first class. We had you know, this guy, and we had Mike Piazza in that first class, and
John Matlack,
and
Herb Pennock,
and
Kathy Rush,
Rip Hamilton.
Rip Hamilton. Yeah, it was a pretty impressive class.
Yeah. So, and it just kind of blossomed from there. But you know,
As indeed, under your very capable mentorship. Alvy.
I had a lot of good help, I'll tell you. And this guy, he sponsored the trophies every year, the plaques, and you know, it was a gift from Kelly Sports. But it was a lot of good people working together and having fun doing it. It was about having fun.
I mean, Alvy, it seems as though the Hall of Fame was just an extension for you of everything you had been doing in the community. I mean, for years you've provided the space for the organization to meet. You've provided the plaques, the medals. That must be fulfilling for you as well.
I don't,
Well, the meeting place and the table and the chairs and all, it was all Alvy, and
yeah.
that was a great place, great spot to have a meeting. And I'll be, you know, I'm hoping we'll get back in there pretty soon. I think.
Well, we all are. Yeah. I mean, we're all very much hopeful that we will get back there soon. Alvy, do you have any projects that you're involved in now?
No, not right now. I'm a loner in a home, trying to because living by myself.
Yeah.
And everybody in my family is gone except my son, my two daughters. So
Have you got? Do you have sports memorabilia in your room at the Barclay?
I had it, when I was down in Westchester, but I'm out at Barclay home now.
Yeah.
And I still think about it, doing things, wanting to get back there to keep it moving. So,
well, and Jerry, I know you've still got sports memorabilia, after which some of which I lust for, but that's a separate subject. And I certainly know you have old antique cars, so it's great. We're kind of coming to the end of our conversation here, but one question I wanted to ask, two questions I wanted to ask each of you. How do you see the future for sports in Westchester and in Chester County? Do you think the future is healthy? I mean, what's your perception of the future for sports?
well, I drive down past there if I go into Westchester, and them fields are just loaded with kids and adults together playing in each different field. So it makes me so proud that I had part of helping that happen, and where I could go down and watch them play and all that stuff. And that was my big desire, to do that for them kids.
And you did, and
Yeah.
you did it very well. Jerry, how about you?
Oh,
The future of sports in Chester County.
yeah, I think sports are on the rise, and especially with the women's sports. I think the women are emerging as equal athletes, and it's good to see that. And I think the college at Westchester University is a great hub of sports, So, no, I think it's going strong and we'll keep going strong. So,
Well, largely due to the efforts of both of you. One final question, and we ask this of all our interviewees. Why is it an honor for each of you? And Jerry, you were inducted in the Hall of Fame in 2018. Why is it an honor for each of you to be a member of the Chester County Sports Hall of Fame? Alvy?
Well, it's a great honor. You tell somebody, you know, you're a member, like my family, they didn't believe in me at first that I was in it and how I was being treated. So, but it made me proud and made me stay up there and act it to help everybody, help the kids. If I see somebody that's just moping around, I take them to the field and introduce them to people and get them in there. I said, get in there and get started, you know. And that's how a bunch of them did it. But they remember, they're still writing me letters.
That's fabulous.
And I'm so proud of that. And it makes me just keep wanting to live.
Well, good. And we want you to live, and that's great motivation.
Yeah.
Jerry, how about you?
very humbling experience to be surrounded by that great gallery of guys and gals. So yeah, I'm very humbled to be part of that. Thank you.
Well, this has been a wonderful experience. I hope for all of our everybody who's watching this. We're going to wrap it up now, and I want to thank both of you for taking the time today, and particularly Alvy. Thanks to your son Steve for helping out. As I mentioned in my opening remarks, we urge you to join the Chester County Sports Hall of Fame. You can see here on your screen down at the bottom the address for going to our website to become a member. And as I said earlier, if you feel you would like to support our activities, we would certainly welcome your gifts. Thank you all for joining in today. I hope this spotlight on sports has been enjoyable for you, as enjoyable for you as it has been for me. And we'll do it again. Thank you all, and have a great day.